Life does have a strange way of surprising you in the most unexpected place and at an unexpectedly regular hour. That was me, Grace, a paramedic of 30 years who genuinely believed in saving lives and had an uncanny ability to find myself up shit creek without a paddle. By and large, my life was just running from crisis to crisis with no time for anything else. More show, less I never would have guessed that a broken-down car would lead me to the love of my life. It was a blazing hot July afternoon, and I had broken down on the side of the road, staring at my car like if I looked hard enough, she would suck all that smoke back in. And that was when he appeared. Ryan, all smiley charm and hands made for beer mugs rather than spanners. Need a hand? Can I talk to you, Grace? He approached me full of swagger that didn't quite match his casual attire. I must have sounded a mess. My hair was plastered to this forehead, making it look more like paper mache, and I would later discover the expression on that physiognomy grim. Stromberg. Well, unless you're Jesus freaking Christ, I seriously doubt that. This piece of crap hates me, I retorted, a lot more because of frustration on my day than anything actually mad at him. Ryan laughed deeply, a sound that brought my eyes back to him. Maybe we should hold off on the exorcists. I'm pretty handy with cars. Let's see what we've got. Ryan rolled up his sleeves and set to it, shocking, mostly in a good way. The certainty with which his hands worked was almost hypnotic, and I found myself wishing that he wouldn't be finished fixing it too soon. Emerging from under the hood, he said, "Looks like your coolant hose decided to call it quits. I'm able to patch it enough so you can get to a shop, that's all." Thank you. Sorry, almost feels wrong too. I'm Grace, by the way," to which he replied with a grin, shaking my hand. "Ryan, and don't worry about it. Well, I can't very well leave a damsel in distress on the side of road now, could I?" We got to chatting as he worked on my car. We talked like we had grown up together. He talked about being an electrician at work, his current project in the basement, and I shared stories of my ambulance adventures. With each new conversation I had with him, the more it became apparent to me that this feeling was one that I never wanted to go away. Ryan announced, "All done," as he put the finishing twist on his wrench. "She ought to wait for you at the shop." I could not keep the disappointment from leaking out of my voice. "Thank you, Ryan. How can I ever in this life repay you?" His face never lost that infinite smile as he wiped his hands on a rag. "How about dinner? I know a guy who makes the best hamburgers in town." My heart raced. "Did you just ask me out? Do you treat all women this way when they first meet?" I teased, over trying to hide my enthusiasm. "Just the ones that look like if they eat a burger with someone, it wouldn't be out of place," he quipped back playfully as his eyes sparkled in mischief. And just like that, I was nodding and agreeing to dinner with a man who had turned one of my worst days ever into a day which could never be forgotten for all it meant. It only seemed right to move in with Ryan's mom after we said, "I do. My folks died long ago. I found a family I never thought even existed in the big kind of cozy house." Harriet, Ryan's mom, was a sweetheart. She was fond of me as if I were her own daughter, and our relationship grew stronger. We would sit for hours sipping coffee, sharing recipes, and supporting one another through the valleys and mountain tops of life. So, it was comforting, having bonding once again. Into this new life, 2 years later, our little boy Mason was born to Ryan and I. He brought joy that I could not articulate, but also a dose of reality. I resigned from being a paramedic and chose to be at home, focus on our son, keep the house. Ryan went on with his electrician work at those major projects for the government, and all he did was talk about them. Wires, gears, stuff I really had no clue away from. They sat for hours, waiting on nothing, but as days all began to blend together into a whirlwind of diapers and baby giggles at family dinners. One evening, We were about to have dinner, and for whatever reason, Ryan blew it. "Grace, we need to talk," he began, and his voice was strung tighter than a lid on a jar of pickles. "Go ahead," I said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. From how he said it, I knew this was not going to be a call me with weather complaints conversation. "About all this," he said, gesturing with his fork at the house that surrounded him. "Our life. Me? It might be time to return to work, don't you think you're losing yourself here?" Hot anger flared inside me at his words. "Losing myself? I'm raising our son Ryan, and keeping your home. That's not nothing." He let out a long singeing sigh that grated on my last nerve. "That's not what I mean, Liz. You're more than this. What about your license? What about your entire life? You used to save lives. Had I not heard correctly? The hell, like I am guess now, I'm some joyless housewife, Grace, is that it?" "No, fat." He cut himself off, combining elements of both foolish pride and the need to prove him wrong. I began exploring options for re-entering the world medical field on a part-time basis. I managed to juggle home life and trying and failing desperately for my own thing, but I was a go. On uppers, Ryan can add all this together. The job searches that only happen after midnight and phone calls deep into his kid's nap time. One day he said, "See, I knew. You could do it," with an air of told-you-so smugness that made me want to launch a cushion at him. "What you seem to think, Ryan," I only said, "that balance thing. So much more is implied my old life was less significant." Once we connected the dots between Ryan when I somewhat at part-timed and Mason walking playgroup, or was he nearly one? It seemed he was there more than home during those years, stacking his work trips like pancakes. He never at home, it was always some kind of unsettling, ominous storm brewing in the distance. It was no longer a home, but an airfield where the pull between us could almost be seen and walked through. Ryan was fluent in disapproval behind poor spaghetti, improper chewing, and wordy words encoded through my physical form itself all the way down to our child-rearing ways. "What is this, Grace?" As soon as he would enter the door, his glare flickered across our guest room in search of something to criticize. And it didn't take long. "And why is Mason still up? He should be in bed." Oh my God, I tried to play nice and keep it cool, but nope. I would reply, my words briefless and exhausted by the monotonous cycle of being alive for him. "Really trying, Ryan. Drags on so long because Mason will not go to bed without you. He misses his dad." Ryan always had a clever, biting reply. "Parent, all of your bottom. If you miss me or not, you should be the one making that call, not him." "Don't worry," Harriet said kindly as I walked in the door. "Ryan's just gone to the toilet while trying instead of using it properly." I wanted to believe that way, too, but there were times I still thought our miraculously healing marriage hung by a single worn thread. Harriet was that, yet another bright-eyed, healthy toddler, except she wasn't. A phone call came when Ryan was away on his zillionth business trip. What he said when I told him his mom was no good dropped my jaw. "Can't you, Grace?" He was clearly frustrated with what I did and said, "You are the medic. N.E. Well, I have stuff to do over here." What he told me I honestly could not believe. "It's your mom, Ryan. She's really sick. Match-su repairer, minor nothing fix this is," but seeing that he wasn't supporting, I did what had to be done. I drove her to the vet emergency, thinking that it might just be something small, nil irreversible. But oh, what a fool fate is. There it was, the curse word of our vocabulary. Inoperable brain tumor. My heart sank. There was too much energy in Harriet to allow the decent into a pal. Harriet kept getting worse and I felt like a circus performer with 20 spinning plates. Keeping an eye on her, keeping the house under control, bringing up Mason, it nearly did me in. Ryan, however, was nowhere to be seen throughout it all. He had lost interest in his mom's health. After a while, Harriet's care was too much to handle all on my own. I called and sent her to a nursing home. Mason came with me every chance I had to see her. It was bittersweet to visit her there. But Harriet, bless her heart, mothered the lot of us maintain an open hearth. One of the last times we came to see her, she clasped my supportive hand in yours and gazed at me with sorrowful sadness. Thankful. Thank you and goodbye, Grace. Paul, she started to say so quietly, nearly a breath itself. I am sorry for what how he ended up. Harriet, don't. That is not your mistake, my voice catching halfway. She only smiled, and it was a tired smile. You'll see, dear. Hey there. I have surprise in store for you, she replied, but didn't reveal more. Then Harriet died soon after. The last drop was at his own mum's funeral when Ryan never turned up. I was the one who had set it all up. I was now standing by her headstone saying goodbye to a woman that has become closer than family ever would be for me from my husband. My world came crashing down around 2 a.m. when the squeal of the front door hitting our wall woke me from my slumber. My heart was pounding in my chest when I saw Ryan make his way into the room, not by himself, but with a woman wrapped around him like some sort of human leech, and she had enough smug wrapped up within her smile that it practically melted under how dimly lit the club happened to be. Grace, get up. Ryan slurred, his words sticky with alcohol. We gotta talk. I blinked away the sleep and tried to make sense of this vision in front of me. Ryan, who's this? What's going on? This, he gestured to the woman at his side, is Erica. She's going to be my wife. Get your things and go. The room spun. Leave. It's Ryan. In the middle of the night past runtime. What should I do with Mason now? My voice a mixture of disbelief and rising panic. I somehow managed to stammer. But Ryan's face was stone cold. Not my problem. Now, I've been waiting for the perfect time, and this is it. I'm done with you. I scrambled around for my phone and hit record, ideas percolating in my brain. Done with me. Seriously, Ryan, what the hell? Why we have to leave home? He snorted as a bitter and very cold, breathy laugh emitted from him. Our home. No, it's my house now. Erica's and mine. We all work together and have fun on the job. Wait till you see how we play when nobody is watching. Erica, who was already scouting around like she owned the place, didn't bother to hide her triumph. You hurt him. Time to go. I resisted the urge to crumble. And Mason, what about your son? It had been indifference that was the most painful, simply shrugged away like Ryan said. He can go with you. Doesn't matter to me. Erica, and our kids. And I needed to be reminded of those words, oh how I did. As I just stood there, disbelief and anger fighting with one another within me. I called it up from inside and set my voice, then looked them all in the eyes for once and said, "Och, Ryan, I'm leaving but it ain't over." I gathered a few things in my arms, ran back to the room and scooped up Mason so he was wrapped tight with his blanket. I turned my head to the stranger in bed with me, got up and walked out into a cold night feeling completely different from what that warm duvet provided. I did not sleep that night after Ryan turned our world upside down. The hotel room was dark and quiet. Mason lay sleeping beside me, completely oblivious to the maelstrom that ravaged it from within and without. I was terrified. I had hundreds of thousands or even a million thoughts and fears and plans racing through my head. What next? I did not even know how it picked up the pieces of a life that completely smashed in 1 second. Put down my hardly working cell, drawn with a purpose unsaturated. I phoned an employee of Ryan's who we all knew, a mutual friend, Lisa. We walked over to our friend's house, and I realized that if anybody could relate as to how much this had turned me into a monster, it was her. I gasped out loud. I whispered as much as my voice could whisper, and not wake him up. It is me. And half the frog-like human in my throat excited out of mouth follows silence. Grace, what's up? It's late. Is everything okay? The drowsiness dissipated just like that, and Lisa sounded worried. No, everything's not okay. Ryan, he fucking threw us out in the middle of the night. He's got someone else. Lisa, he goes, Michael. She works Doug/me and she is going to be his wife. The words just came out crashing one after the other, each word confirming what a cruel nightmare I was living. What? Slow down, Grace. He did what? Lisa suddenly sounded incensed and surprised as the adrenaline kicked in. I took a deep breath and tried to keep calm. He brought her home. Lisa told me to pack my things and go. And I've got it all on audio. I recorded the conversation. You did what? Grace, that? Why, yes, Grace. Brilliant. Send it to me. We'll figure this out, okay? Don't worry. There was relief to see and hear Lisa propping him up. I sent her the audio recording, that digital record of Ryan's perfidy. And so we discussed plans, talked next steps, anything to give me an inch of relief in the darkness that surrounded me. The hotel room curtains were only somewhat muting the first rays of dawn when my phone came to life with a buzz. The number was unknown and for a moment I hesitated. My life had been rocked to the foundations, and part of me was almost surprised I did not hear further news. Hello. I was careful with my words and ready for whatever she may say. Is this Grace? It was a voice I didn't know, but it had the warmth of someone familiar. Yes, speaking. Who's this? My name's John Fisher. I'm a lawyer. Well, I represented Harriet and you are the son-in-law. Harriet. Even the sound of her name packed an emotional punch. Yes, I know Harriet. How can I help you? Not how you can help me, but how I got you. Harriet left you something. It's important. Can we meet today? I was taken aback. Harriet had thought of me. So soon after what had gone on. Yes, of course. When and where? We set a time to meet at his office that morning. George was the one who ended up helping me get Mason prepared, and all of my thoughts running wild on where this version would lead to. What in the world could Harriet have left for me? Henderson's office was my bastion of peace amongst the storm that had become life. He smiled kindly at me, gesturing next to him towards a room with 2 chairs and an end table. Thanks for being here, Grace. As I recall, Harriet said great things about you. She wanted to make sure you and Mason were provided for. I nodded, still in a daze. What did she leave? Paul handed me an envelope. There was a letter in Harriet's hand. It was her spilling out on paper, thanking me for all the love and care I gave to her, apologizing through sobs that Ryan had done this, telling me she wishes nothing but my best in life. And that's when Mr. Henderson dropped the revelation. Grace, Harriet left you the house, then the house and nearly all of her savings. I was speechless. More than she could bear was the truth of Harriet's ability. She had thrown me a life preserver, one last time to make things right with my life. Is this even legal? Now can she just strike all of Ryan? I choked, barely daring to get the words out. Mr. Henderson nodded firmly. Harriet made it clear and took legal measures to protect herself. The house is yours, Grace, and there's enough in savings for you to get a fresh start. During that call, I cried. Words of thanks poured out of me forcefully through my relief tears. Even in her death throes, Harriet must have seen me, Mason. She had shown us there was a reason to live on, given hope in times when we thought all is lost. Less than 24 hours from the moment my phone was ringing with excitement over my shoulder load weighed into Mr. Henderson's office. It buzzed again, but this time it was Ryan. His voice was the epitome of a storm, all wind and bluster. Grace, get your ass to Henderson's office now. He roared through the phone. And that would be what his face looked like. I imagined it as all red and purple with rage. Taking a deep breath, knowing that was unlikely to be the case, I turned and walked back to the lawyer with Mason close behind me. It was supercharged with emotion. Ryan and his new bird were already there, circling backwards like 2 caged animals. Ryan had me the second I walked in and was waving a bunch of papers around like he thought they might catch fire. What's this crap about? Why the hell did my mom left everything to you? Jeff Henderson, always the voice of reason among us storm chasers, stepped in. Come on, people, let's talk about this like the rational folks we all are. Unfortunately, rationality had left low building. Erica eyed the door jealously like it was her way out of here, a realization dawning over that once smug exterior. The contents of the garage, Ryan, that was your mother's legacy to you, I gathered after some effort. She left the rest to Mason and me. Ryan's face twisted as Arctic Alley, if that was possible, into a snarl of disbelief and fury. The garage? What do you want me to do with it? Put it in the trash. Mr. Henderson gave Ryan another document, a letter from Harriet. Your mother had her reasons, Ryan. She wished you could get it one day. Ryan quickly read the letter, and I could see his anger ebb away to a simmering sulk. This is... Seeing the writing on the wall, his mistress finally snapped. Go get your brooding soul sacrificed. I kind of have things to do other than languish for eternity on some worthless piece of rock. I did not sign up for that shit. To be with a loser. And she was gone, exciting as dramatically as burst into and became part of our lives. Ryan was now utterly alone, and he vented his anger entirely upon us. You'll pay for this. I'll sue, Unflappable as always, Mr. Henderson cut in. You shouldn't do that, Ryan. You are not going to win, and it will only be a waste of your time and money. The room was so quiet, he could only hear the heavy breathing of everyone in it. With no other options, Ryan dejectedly sludged out of the office while leaving a mess in his wake. When the storm had passed, and my life was turned on its head in more ways than I can even remember, backwards then forwards, before back around, there stood among what used to be some sort of a world, me. The parties in the divorce were divided, with Ryan fighting over everything, but especially Harriet's land. He had the damnedest time believing actions took responsibility. You couldn't get back love and trust after breaking without plumbing a judge. One of the final times I saw Ryan in his delivery parking lot visits before he was removed from our case, anger and confusion laced his words as he asked me, I just don't understand, Grace. Why are you doing this? What kind of shitty world does this live in where things couldn't just be the way that they were? I scanned his face, really looked at it, and recognized the man I once adored beyond measure. Ryan, you broke us, but you cannot find your way back to a family. Harriet could see it even if you did not. Just as Mr. Henderson had predicted, he could not even be successful in his attempts to get Harriet's stuff for her fans. His motives were seen through by the judge, and for once justice felt like it had actually been served. The house went to me and Mason, plus Ryan had to pay alimony. It made me realize that what began as a plea for help in the audio recording of that night I shared with Lisa had developed into more. As happens with these things, it spread, and before too long, Ryan's acts were revealed to all. A promising career for a while fell hanging upon his own wrongdoings. It was only after that same punishment, but with new reports to use them on, and working in a reduced capacity at another branch of the service. Nor did his lady friend Erica. She was ensnared by the vortex of her own devising and dismissed for bad behavior. The workplace, as it happened, was not the appropriate setting for their games. A different constriction company had a slice of cash involved, too. Another physical reminder to her that it was over. I took comfort in the little things that could distract me. Laughing with my son, being in our home, the comfort of friends and family. It was not an easier journey, and there were days when I felt the weight of all this too heavy to carry. And in those moments, I remembered the strength that had emerged, a resolve to fight for myself and fight for Mason, fucking kicking down doors so we could walk into some space where maybe things would be slightly better. There was one rabbit hole of hope available. In my time as a paramedic, I have learned to understand just how much is the line between them so thin. And yet, throughout this process, a light bulb went off in my head, and I reached for a dream that seemed to be beyond reach after all. That dream is now a real possibility, thanks to the inheritance Harriet left us. I only made it to school as a doctor. Balancing school, Mason, and working is hard, but we are managing. There are lots of benefits to living in the house that Harriet left us. It is like a constant reminder of her love and faith in us. I swear, Mason is almost out of toddlerhood, and I'm getting an increasingly clearer daily picture of the person he will become. It is my mission to show him that his father lacked strength, Kindness, intelligence, and humility is courage, but still has everything. I have never spoken ill of Ryan to Mason. They are as smart or smarter than we give them credit for. The void left by Ryan has been a quiet parable. He has taken even less interest in her, and really, that's a blessing. One night, after I put Mason to bed and cracked open the books, he walked out of his room, brow furrowed. "Why does Dad not want to see me, Mom?" It was the question I had been dreading, but luckily for me, I knew the answer. I sat him down and tried to ease into my words. "Mason, sometimes people do things that we just can't understand. It's about yourself and value of yours. Those are the decisions of your dad." He nodded, processing this. "I know. I only wish he cared more, you know?" My heart broke for him as I embraced him. "I know, kiddo. But you have me, and I've got you. 1 minute to me, but I gotta go love 10 families. You also have an army of people who love you." A tiny fraction of the pressure was lifted from his slightly older shoulders, and Mason smiled. "Yeah, I'm lucky, huh?" "You bet," I told him as I tucked him in. "Right, now, let's get some rest. We have an early day tomorrow." The determination that I felt when I went back to my studies. My journey was not just about me but for Mason and our future. Suddenly, being a doctor was no longer just about fulfilling a distant dream. It was now his way out of the street violence and chronic poverty in San Diego, California. You can succeed. Perhaps Ryan choosing to keep his distance was a blessing in disguise. It gave me and Mason a chance to start a life free of the weight his decisions cast. We could grow, we could heal, and life became infused with the magic that lays in every ritual.
My name is Kate, and I live with my husband, Michael. We inherited a restaurant, Sunflower, from my grandfather, who had run it for many years. Sunflower was beloved by locals and had many regular customers. Despite battling cancer, my grandfather remained an active owner. "I can't be resting in a hospital room," he would say. "I should be out in Sunflower, working till my very last day." Even as his condition worsened, he never showed signs of weakness and continued to serve delicious food with a smile, enjoying conversations with his regulars. Today, my grandfather passed away with his family watching over him. He named me, his granddaughter, as the heir to Sunflower. He knew his time was coming and left behind a precise will detailing the restaurant's inheritance. I decided to follow in his footsteps and become the owner of Sunflower. Thankfully, even after his passing, our loyal customers continued to visit, and the employees who had worked with my grandfather stayed on. Having watched and practiced my grandfather's cooking style all my life, I was confident I could serve the same delicious food. Our regular customers were happy that they could still enjoy my grandfather's cooking. "Wow, it tastes just like your grandfather's. Even though he's gone, it feels like he's still here with us," they would say. This motivated me even more as Sunflower continued to thrive. However, Michael grew increasingly dissatisfied after my grandfather's death. "Restaurant owners should be men. Why should you inherit it?" he asked. "Because I am his granddaughter," I replied. "Even though I own the restaurant, you'll be running it with me, so it shouldn't matter." "Yeah, but," Michael sometimes complained, wanting to be the owner. However, I was the top chef, and even when my grandfather was alive, my husband mainly handled shopping for recipes but never cooked. "I've never heard of a restaurant owner who can't cook," I said. I felt strongly about honoring my grandfather's wishes and will. "Kate, can I have another one of this?" a customer asked. "Sure, coming right up," I responded. The restaurant continued to thrive, and we were busy every day. Then one day, someone came to visit. "Hey, Michael, it's been a long time," said his younger brother, Dave, who was quite irresponsible. He never held a regular job and had moved away last year only to quit and return. "Oh hey, welcome back," Michael said, happy to see his brother. "I heard your grandfather died. Did you inherit the restaurant?" Dave asked. "No, I didn't inherit the restaurant," Michael replied. "What? Did your wife inherit it?" "No way, she's a woman. Becoming the owner is a joke." Dave laughed, oblivious to the annoyed stares of the customers. Ignoring my brother-in-law's comments, I continued working. "Since I'm family, can I have it on the house?" Dave asked. "Yo, sure," Michael said. Dave ate a large meal, drank beer, and left without paying. Hey, even other family members pay when they eat here. It's not fair to others, so please make him pay if he's going to eat at our restaurant, I told Michael. He doesn't have any money. We should support him a little bit, Michael replied. After that, Dave continued to eat and drink at the restaurant regularly without paying. Each time, I insisted he pay, but Michael never listened. My persistence annoyed my husband, and we eventually stopped talking to each other. Dave started coming to the restaurant more often while my husband and I grew increasingly distant. Every time my brother-in-law visited, he and Michael would retreat to the kitchen to talk in secret. I suspected they were talking behind my back, but I pretended not to care and continued cooking and serving our customers. One day, I overheard Dave asking Michael, "Is there any way you can own this restaurant?" "My wife is the owner," Michael replied. "Since this place has a great location and many customers, why don't you take over the restaurant and keep all the profits? It must be hard having your wife as your boss, right?" "Well, yeah," Michael admitted. Dave had his eye on Sunflower and was scheming to take it over. Sensing Michael's frustration with me, he tried to get him on board with his plan. "But how could we make the restaurant ours?" Michael asked. "I have an idea," Dave said. Michael agreed to Dave's idea and decided to go through with it. The next day, which was our restaurant's closed day, my husband left early, and I spent the day alone. Even though it was my day off, I remembered that the kitchen needed some cleaning, so I decided to use my day off to tidy up the restaurant. When I arrived, I found the door already open. I thought I had forgotten to lock it the previous night and hurried inside, only to find Michael and Dave already there. "You're here," Michael said, smirking. "The door was open, so I was surprised," I replied. "Today is a closed day. Why are you here?" They both smirked as if they were planning something. "I have something to tell you," Michael began. "Since you inherited this restaurant, I don't like the way you've been acting all stuck up." "I was not being stuck up," I protested. "Yes, you have been," Dave chimed in. "Don't you think so?" "Yes, you're being stuck up since the restaurant is thriving and you're making profits. You're feeling good about it," Michael agreed. "What are you saying?" I was getting annoyed and angry as they talked to me as if I were an idiot. While I was fuming, Michael pulled out some documents from his bag. "I don't like your attitude. I can't take it anymore. Let's get a divorce." The documents were already filled out divorce papers. I was astonished. "What do you mean by this?" I was upset and couldn't understand what my husband was talking about. The first thing that came to my mind was the continuation of the restaurant. "It will be hard for me to continue as an owner if we get a divorce," I said. "About that," Michael replied. "We will buy the restaurant from you. Dave and I will run it. You just leave." I couldn't understand what my husband was saying. "It's such a waste since this restaurant has a great location and many customers. We will renew it with a better menu." "Yup, so just fill out the divorce papers and get out," Dave added. Their words made my brain freeze. This is the restaurant my grandfather owned for so long. We have enough profit from it. We should continue as it is for our customers. That means you're not going to change or improve it. This restaurant will go out of business soon, Michael argued. We don't want that. We'll run it. No matter what I said, they didn't listen. I was sure Michael was brainwashed by Dave. "Okay, I will sell this restaurant for your named price. I'll make that money soon anyway, so I don't care how much." I couldn't stand their arrogance. "Fine then. I will sell it for $500,000. Just give me 2 weeks to prepare the divorce papers and the contract. Don't visit the restaurant during those 2 weeks." With that, I agreed to sell them the restaurant. Dave and Michael were overjoyed. They had no idea why I sold the restaurant to them so easily, focusing only on their potential profits and selfish ambitions. I continued running the restaurant until a handover. "Hey, where's your husband?" a regular customer asked. "We're getting a divorce," I replied. "Why so sudden? Are you going to run Sunflower all on your own?" "No, my husband will be buying the restaurant from me. I'll be quitting in 2 weeks." The customers were surprised and worried, but I reassured them with some good news. I handed out flyers I had recently made, and the customers looked relieved after reading them. 2 weeks later, I presented Michael and Dave with the contract to sell the restaurant and the filled-out divorce papers. "Now you have nothing to complain about," I said. Michael signed the contract without hesitation. $500,000. "I'm transferring the money to your account now. So this is my restaurant now," he declared, overjoyed with Dave. While they celebrated, I packed up my belongings and left the restaurant. On my way to submit the divorce papers, I couldn't wait to see what they would do with the restaurant. Michael and Dave opened the restaurant immediately. I've already explained the situation to the employees, so there shouldn't be any problem running the restaurant without Kate, Michael assured Dave. All right, let's make some money, Dave said enthusiastically. At 10 a.m., when the restaurant opened, an unusual scene unfolded. Why aren't the customers coming? Michael wondered. Typically, customers would arrive as soon as the restaurant opened, but no one showed up. Even the diligent employees didn't come to work. Michael tried calling them but couldn't get through. Panic set in as this had never happened before. Michael spotted a regular customer walking by. Aren't you our regular customer? He called out. Huh? Oh yeah, the customer replied. I was worried because you didn't show up when the restaurant opened. Come in, come in. I heard your wife quit. I was a regular because I wanted to eat her food. Since she's not here, there's no reason for me to come and eat here. Don't say that. We can serve you a delicious meal, Michael insisted, half forcibly pushing the customer inside. The customer reluctantly entered and looked at the new menu. What is this menu? I've renewed all the dishes, Michael announced proudly. The menu had none of Sunflower's original offerings. Instead, it featured exotic words that confused the customers, making them less excited to order. Fine, I'll have the steak, the customer said. Coming right up, Michael replied, cooking with great enthusiasm. The customer, who had never seen Michael cook, wasn't looking forward to the meal. What is taking so long? After a 40-minute wait, the dish was finally served. The customer's eyes widened in disbelief. What is this? What Michael served was not cooking. 3 slices of meat were placed in the center of the plate, burnt on the outside and raw inside. There was no sauce or side dishes, just bread and soup. Since the quality of the meat is fine, the seasoning is only salt and pepper. The meat is cooked to enjoy its savoriness and rareness, Michael explained. The customer couldn't even pick up the cutlery. The steak looked unappealing and the soup seemed cheap. I'm not going to eat this, the customer said, standing up to leave. Michael was in shock. Hey, you're going to pay for this. It'll be $30. $30? Are you joking? I am not going to pay for this piece of __. The customer left furiously. Michael and Dave were just in shock. Slowly, they began to realize their mistakes. Michael, who never cooked, and Dave, who never had a proper job, couldn't run a restaurant. Their focus on profit blinded them to the obvious. Sunflower, under the new owners, never saw another customer again. Meanwhile, I started a new restaurant in a different location called Sunflower Second. The original employees joined me. This restaurant was also inherited from my grandfather, who had anticipated the need for continuity as the old building aged. So he had set up a new restaurant in a different location, ensuring the legacy of Sunflower lived on. My grandfather wanted to announce the new restaurant after it was built, but he passed away during its construction. This new restaurant was also inherited by me, and I never told my husband about its existence. 2 weeks before selling the original Sunflower, I advertised the new restaurant to our regular customers, who came because they loved my cooking. Thanks to their support, the restaurant was bustling from day one. We quickly earned enough to hire new employees, and the $500,000 from selling the original Sunflower allowed me to give my staff raises. At Sunflower Second, I kept my grandfather's original menu but added my own dishes to attract a younger crowd and make the menu more family-friendly. This strategy was a success, and more families visited the restaurant. Every day was busy and fulfilling. Meanwhile, Michael and Dave were struggling. They had borrowed $500,000 to pay me and were now receiving debt reminders. What are we going to do about this? Michael asked, frustrated. You started this, you should fix it, Dave retorted, caught off guard by their situation. Dave suddenly had an idea. They came to my restaurant during the busy lunchtime. Help us, Kate, Dave shouted, disregarding the many customers dining. Michael had a visible injury on his arm. We will return the restaurant to you. Just give us back the money we paid for it, Dave pleaded. The original Sunflower is yours now. You signed the contract, so take responsibility and work hard, I replied, not taking Dave's words seriously and returning to the kitchen. Then my ex-husband entered, looking pained. "Kate, help me," he pleaded dramatically. Customers murmured, concerned about Michael's visible bruise. I looked closer and was shocked by the large bruise on his arm. "Wait, you're really injured?" I asked. "Yes, that's what I've been trying to tell you," Michael responded. "Go to the hospital right away," I urged, calling a cab for him. During my lunch break, I visited the hospital to check on him. But when I arrived, Michael and Dave ran away as soon as they saw me. Suspicious, I asked the receptionist about Michael's visit. "I think a man named Michael was here a few minutes ago for an examination. Is he finished? I'm here to pick him up," I inquired. "There's no record of a man named Michael here," the receptionist replied, puzzled. Realizing they were hiding something, I drove around and found Michael and Dave walking. I stopped the car and grabbed Michael's arm. The bruise was gone. "You're not injured, are you?" I demanded. "No, I didn't know running a restaurant could be this difficult. We have no customers, no money, and can't pay off the debt. I thought if I pretended to be injured, you'd give us the money back," Michael admitted. "I can't believe you tried to deceive me with such a childish lie," I said, letting go of his hand. "Stay out of my life. That restaurant is yours. Deal with it." I got in the car and returned to my restaurant, feeling disappointed as I drove away. Michael and Dave put Sunflower on the market to pay off their debt, but the old building made it hard to find a buyer. They worked tirelessly, receiving constant debt reminders, a fitting consequence for their selfish greed. As for me, Sunflower Second thrived, with profits doubling. A regular customer who had admired my work asked to be my apprentice. Determined to teach them the hard work and dedication required to run a restaurant, I ensured they would not become selfish and greedy like Michael. I continued to work hard, honoring my grandfather's legacy, ensuring Sunflower Second remained successful for many years to come. As the train was leaving, my daughter waved at me with a big smile on her face. It had been about 2 months since she last saw my husband, and she was eagerly looking forward to visiting him. As soon as she boarded the train, I sent a message to my husband. About 4 hours after I got home, my daughter called me. I had told her to call when she arrived, so I assumed it was her checking in. "Hello, Sarah. Did you make it to San Francisco and meet up with your father?" I asked. Her response, in an unhappy voice, caught me off guard. "Mom, come and pick me up, please." "What's wrong?" I asked, concerned. "I didn't get to meet Dad." "What do you mean?" "I don't know, but I haven't heard from him. When I went to his house, some strange woman turned me away." "What?" "My name is Liddy. I have a family of 3 with my husband, Robert, and our 11-year-old daughter, Sarah. I conceived my husband's child while I was still in college, so I'm 32 years old now. After our baby was born, I managed to finish college with my parents' support. Since then, I have been a housewife. The unexpected pregnancy and early marriage caused confusion and concern among those around us, making it a difficult time. However, my husband assured me that he had always planned to marry me and it was just a matter of time. After graduating, my husband got a job at a well-known company. With a good starting salary and company housing, we didn't struggle financially and lived happily together. We didn't have a traditional honeymoon phase, but our daughter was so precious that it didn't matter. My husband adored her and always took care of her on weekends, allowing me to relax and spend time with friends. Life was good, and I had no complaints. Time flew by, and soon our daughter started elementary school. By then, my husband had been working for the same company for about 7 years and had been promoted. Although he had more responsibilities and came home later, we still enjoyed family road trips on weekends and created many happy memories. I believed these joyful times would continue for a long time. However, one day, my husband's company decided to transfer him. Despite having a family, our daughter was already 11 years old, and he could no longer refuse the transfer due to her age. Moreover, this new assignment was crucial for his career, and his future promotions depended on it. Since the company had many replacements for him, this relocation was unavoidable for his advancement. With our daughter soon entering junior high and high school and the expenses that come with it, I had to support his transfer for his career growth. The assignment was supposed to last about 6 months, which seemed manageable. However, my daughter was worried about being away from her father. My husband reassured her that he would call every day and visit on weekends to keep her from feeling lonely. Even though she was sad about not seeing her dad as often, my daughter accepted it. We saw him off with smiles, and a few days later, he called us on video, spending a lot of time talking with our daughter. He made sure to call before she even missed him, leaving me to wonder which one of them was the child. Seeing my husband and daughter talking on the phone is so heartwarming. I could tell they were getting along well with each other. On the first weekend, he was too busy to come home, but the next week, he made time and came back on a Friday. I'm grateful to my husband for prioritizing our family amidst his hard work. My daughter was thrilled to have dinner with her father after so long. However, about 2 months after his new life started, his behavior began to change. He used to call our daughter every 3 days, but the frequency of these calls decreased until he stopped calling altogether. I knew he was busy with work, living alone, and handling all the house chores. I assumed once he got used to the new workplace, he'd have more chances to go out for drinks with his colleagues. I didn't want to pressure him, so I didn't urge him to contact us. Despite understanding his busy schedule, my husband rarely contacted me anymore. He also visited less frequently. I explained to my daughter that her father was busy, but I could see she was grieving, even if she didn't express it. This wasn't a good situation. Knowing he was swamped with work, I asked my husband to call her, even if just for 5 minutes. Our daughter always seemed somewhat lonely at home. My husband apologized but didn't call Sarah. Her birthday was coming up on Saturday. I hoped he would come home to surprise us. She also hoped, saying, "Maybe Daddy will come home." But on her birthday, my husband didn't come home, nor did he call to wish her a happy birthday. My daughter was deeply disappointed. Furious, I called my husband several times and left messages. Lately, he hadn't been picking up my calls or returning them. After about the 5th call, he finally answered. "What's wrong?" "You've been calling a lot," he said. "What are you doing? It was Sarah's birthday today. It's Saturday and you didn't come home or even call to wish her a happy birthday." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Sarah hadn't seen you in a long time. She was expecting you for her birthday. Tell her I'm really sorry and that I wish her a happy birthday." No matter what I said, he just apologized. Frustrated, I hung up. As I did, my anger flared up again. I sent him a message. "Please think about your daughter and take better care of her. You may be busy, but you are being too disrespectful." His only response was, "I understand." "I'm sorry." There was no improvement after that. Another month passed, and my daughter went on summer vacation. She told me that if her father couldn't come, she would go to meet him. She had been saying this every day since summer vacation started. I decided to take the opportunity and let her visit my husband alone. She was enthusiastic about experiencing something new. We live in Los Angeles, and my husband is currently in San Francisco. She could get there by train. I would drive her to the station and my husband would pick her up at the other end. My husband agreed to the plan. Now my daughter could finally see her father for the first time in a long while. On Saturday, I saw her off and went home. She waved at me with a big smile as the train was leaving. It had been 2 months since she last saw her father, so she must have been really looking forward to it. I sent a message to my husband just as my daughter got on the train. About 4 hours after I got home, I received a call from my daughter. It was around noon, and she had boarded the train early in the morning. She must have met up with my husband and had lunch before calling me. I had told her to call me when she arrived, so I assumed she was checking in. "Hello, Sarah. Did you make it to San Francisco and meet up with your father?" To my surprise, she responded in an unhappy voice, "Mom, pick me up right now, please." "What? What's wrong?" "I didn't see Daddy." "What do you mean?" "I don't know, but I haven't heard from him. When I went to his house, some strange woman turned me away." "What?" I was in shock but knew I had to pick up my daughter as soon as possible. "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm back at San Francisco Station. I'm going into a fast food restaurant to wait." I got into the car and headed for the station, quickly buying a ticket and boarding the next train to San Francisco. When I finally arrived, my daughter looked at me, tears welling up in her eyes. We went to a nearby cafe, and to lift her spirits, I ordered the famous pancakes from the area. Her face lit up a little when the pancakes arrived, and she seemed to enjoy them, looking a bit calmer. Then, I asked her what happened. According to her, she couldn't reach my husband when she arrived at the San Francisco station. After waiting for about 30 minutes with no sign of him, she decided to take matters into her own hands and go to his house by herself. I had given her my husband's address in case something like this happened. Being a Gen Z girl, she used her smartphone to navigate there quickly. She got on the train and went to my husband's house. When she rang the doorbell, a woman's voice answered, "Who are you?" My daughter, surprised but managing to respond, said, "I'm here to see my dad." The woman told my daughter to go home and not to see her dad because she was in the way. She hung up without even opening the door. My daughter then went back to the San Francisco station, feeling dejected. Hearing this, I was so angry that I couldn't contain myself. "If she told you not to see your daddy, then let's do that," I said, taking my daughter home and immediately starting preparations to move out. When I explained the situation to my parents, they were furious and offered to help in any way they could. For the time being, they let us temporarily live with them until I could find a job. My husband called and said, "I didn't see Sarah at the station. Did something happen?" It seemed his adulterous woman hadn't told him that she had turned his daughter away. Since there was no word from my husband on my daughter's phone when I went to pick her up, I doubted he even went to the station. Dumbfounded, I decided to let it slide. "Sarah got sick on the way there and had to turn around," I replied. "I just finished at the hospital, and I'm sorry I couldn't call you." "I see, I understand," he responded. I ended the exchange by saying I would call again if anything else happened. I was pissed off because it was so obvious he was just pretending to be worried about us. I decided to focus on punishing my husband. First, I sent his belongings to his address. Then, I received the results of the investigation I had ordered from the detective agency. I sent proof of his affair along with a certified letter to his workplace. A few days later, everything must have arrived because my husband called me like a demon. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Huh? I just thought I'd let you all know what you've been up to," I said. "You've got to be kidding me. We're in the middle of a big problem here." "Of course we are. That's what I was trying to do. And I can't believe you're sending me my belongings here. I don't need your stuff, and I don't pay rent anymore." "What?" "Sarah and I moved out of that apartment." "Oh, you left that rental apartment. When did you leave?" "About a month ago." "What?" "Then no one lived there for a month, and we still had to pay the rent." "Well, that's true, but it's in your name, so it's none of my business." "No. You're about to be 2 months behind on your rent and get evicted. Is that why I've been getting calls from an unknown number lately? We'll be in trouble if we lose that apartment. Why don't you just continue to live in San Francisco?" "You sent a certified letter to the company. I'm in big trouble because they found out about my affair. They're going to call a replacement from headquarters and move me back to Los Angeles. If you send me all this stuff, it will be hard for me to go back to Los Angeles, especially without a home there." I almost laughed because the plan worked better than I had anticipated. But then I calmed myself and said, "You've hurt Sarah and me so much that you're going to have to pay the price. And it's not over yet. I'm going to demand a divorce, alimony, and child support." "Oh no, let's just go through the lawyers and get this over with," I said, hanging up the phone. After that, I hired a lawyer, and everything proceeded as I had declared. The divorce was finalized without incident, and alimony was claimed against my ex-husband and his mistress. I also asked for child support from my ex-husband. The unprecedented incident of my husband returning from a transfer because of his affair made him the target of laughter within the company. Female employees gave him mean looks, and he could no longer expect a promotion. But he couldn't quit because he had to pay alimony and child support. He must feel ashamed of himself. My daughter became disillusioned with her father, and when he apologized and said he wanted to see her, she refused. He really deserved it. I was able to find a job, and my daughter and I now live happily together in an apartment. I'm working hard to support her and watch her grow up. Hi guys, I'm Amy, an up-and-coming artist, and I'm 26 years old. My story begins in a small town in Colorado. I want to start off by talking about my wonderful Aunt Maureen. I had the incredible privilege of having her live right next door in a massive Victorian-style mansion. When my parents were at work, I would spend hours with her. She was a free-spirited artist, and those moments with her were magical. Aunt Maureen taught me so many things, from painting to embracing my creative side. Her home was like a treasure trove of art and culture, filled with paintings, sculptures, and books. As we both got older, Aunt Maureen and I became even closer. So when I was getting ready to tie the knot, I knew exactly who I wanted as my maid of honor. She taught me everything I know today, but the greatest gift she gave me was discovering my passion for art. Now, Clay, my husband, is the kind of man who makes you believe in soulmates. He wasn't in the same college as me, but he used to drive 6 hours every weekend just to see me. It didn't take long for me to realize he was the one. He is everything I ever wanted in a partner: caring, supportive, and endlessly patient. Our love story may sound like a fairy tale, but like any relationship, it comes with its share of complexities. This is where my mother-in-law, Jane, enters the picture. Jane is a force to be reckoned with in her professional life as a successful lawyer. On the flip side, she can be quite a character at family gatherings, and not always in a good way. Let's just say she has a personal vendetta against me. Once, she miraculously lost my dog at a park, sending me into full panic mode. Other times, she added real dairy milk to my milkshake, even though she knew I was lactose intolerant. But the most shocking betrayal was when she managed to put all my property under my husband's name. Yes, you read that right. It sounds crazy, but it happened. It all started with a very upsetting phone call from my mom. "Hey Mom, it's been a while since we caught up. How's everything?" "Oh Amy, it's so good to hear your voice. There's something I need to talk to you about, and it's not the easiest news." "Mom, you're starting to worry me. What's going on?" "It's about Aunt Maureen, sweetheart. She passed away recently." "Aunt Maureen?" "Mom, please, this can't be true." I started crying. "Yes, honey, as much as it pains me to say it, it's the truth." "Oh, Mom, I can't believe it. When did this happen?" "It was just last night, Amy. Maureen had been battling an illness, a heart condition she hadn't told anyone about. Typical Maureen, she never wanted to trouble anyone. Well, she's at peace now. We're planning her funeral, and we'd really like you to be there." "Of course, Mom. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Aunt Maureen was so important to me, and I want to pay my respects. That would mean a lot to her, sweetheart. The funeral will be held next weekend at the church she loved so much. Clay and I will be there." I told Clay about Aunt Maureen's passing, and he immediately said he would be there for the funeral. But here's the twist. Jane, his mom, had planned to visit us that week because she took time off work, and it coincided with the funeral. Clay suggested we take her along. Honestly, I was not too thrilled about it. Jane and I had our differences, and I was not sure how she would act at such an emotional event. Still, I reluctantly agreed, hoping she would be on her best behavior. The day of the funeral came, and Jane showed up dressed in black, just as we had asked her to. We all piled into the car for the 2-hour drive to the funeral location. Inside, I was feeling a lot of sadness and hoping that Jane would keep things calm. The church was filled with friends and family who had come to pay their respects to Aunt Maureen. During the funeral, I had to step up and deliver a eulogy for Aunt Maureen. It was a pretty emotional moment, to be honest. At the reception, while I was chatting with Jane and Clay, my mom walked up to me. It was the moment she told me something I was not prepared for. "So, Amy, did Jane and Clay have a comfortable drive up here?" "Yeah, the drive was fine." "That's good to know. Jane, Amy, there's something I need to tell you. We found out about Aunt Maureen's will the other day, and she left everything to you." "Everything? What do you mean, Mom?" "I mean her 2 houses and $100,000 in her bank account. All of it goes to you, Amy." That's a lot. Wow, I can't believe it. I knew she loved me, but this is really a lot." "Well, you were her only niece, and we were her only family. It's quite a generous amount she's left behind. How about we take a drive to the other side of town so you can get a better look at the property? It's on the outskirts, and she never used it. That way, you can decide what you want to do with it after seeing it up close. You're already familiar with the house she lived in." "Yeah, that's a great idea. And the other place is the house I grew up in. It's not something I'll easily forget." Amy turns to Clay and Jane. "Clay, Jane, would you be willing to come along with me?" "Of course, dear. We have no objections at all." "No problem, babe." Later that evening, we all got into the car to go and see the property. "This place is huge, Amy. It has so much potential." "Indeed, but it does seem like it hasn't been maintained for a while," Jane pointed out. "That's true. It will need some work to get it back in shape," I replied. "You know what, guys? I've made my decision. I'm going to renovate this place and put it on the market. Meanwhile, I'll keep the other place. Aunt Maureen and I shared so many memories there, and I want to keep that connection alive." "That sounds like a great plan," Clay agreed. We got back home really late that night, and Jane decided to stay over. The following day, over a cup of coffee, just before Jane was going to leave, she came up to me with an offer. Amy, I've been thinking. Since I'm a lawyer and I deal with legal paperwork all the time, I can help you with the legalities of your Aunt Maureen's properties. Oh, really, Jane? Well, it is the least I can do. I know this inheritance is relatively straightforward, but dealing with multiple properties can get a bit complex. I'm familiar with all the ins and outs of this stuff. It would definitely make things easier. I would be happy to assist. I can ensure everything is in order, from transferring titles to handling any legal documentation that may be required. So if I have your permission, forward all the documents to me and I will take care of everything. You might already be going through a hard time losing your aunt. Let me help you. Thank you, Jane. That takes a weight off my shoulders. Jane had pulled some pretty silly tricks on me in the past, but I couldn't deny that she was a dang good lawyer. After some thought, I decided to take her up on her offer to handle the paperwork. You know, Jane could be a bit, well, let's say difficult to deal with at times. Like any mother-in-law, she had her moments, but I honestly didn't think she could cause me any financial trouble. I mean, we're talking about legal stuff here, not meddling in my personal life, right? It was one of those situations where you weigh the benefits against the potential headaches. And let's face it, dealing with multiple properties and legalities can be a real headache. So I figured, why not let Jane put her legal expertise to good use? It might actually save me from a few migraines down the road. In just a couple of weeks, while I was busy with my art projects at home, Jane completely took over. She had me sign what felt like a million documents. She explained each one, making it all sound so straightforward. I trusted her. After all, she was a lawyer, and I thought she had my best interests at heart. Then came the day when I checked my bank account, and there it was, a total of $100,000. Aunt Maureen's generous gift. It was a life-changing amount, and I couldn't help but feel a rush of gratitude. I had plans for that money, renovations on Aunt Maureen's old house, preserving her memory, and maybe even some financial security for the future. With this sweet inheritance, I planned to open up my very own art gallery. It was going to be a tribute to her talent and a place where artists could shine. You know, they say you should always read the fine print before signing anything. Well, I wish I had taken that advice to heart. You see, when Jane had me sign all those documents, I just assumed they were routine legal stuff, and I trusted her implicitly. I never bothered to read them carefully. And that, my friends, turned out to be a big mistake. I was under the impression that I had become the rightful owner of Aunt Maureen's properties, and I kept the paperwork tucked away, completely oblivious to the details within. It was a classic case of naivety mixed with misplaced trust, and I couldn't help but blame myself for not being more vigilant. Fast forward a month, and I found myself in a situation where I needed those very documents. I had decided to sell Aunt Maureen's abandoned property to a builder named Jonathan. He was interested, and it seemed like a good opportunity to move forward with my plans. So one sunny afternoon, I pulled out the paperwork from where I had stashed it and took it along to meet Jonathan. I thought it was just a formality, a quick exchange of papers, and the deal would be sealed. Amy, something does not seem right here, Jonathan said. What do you mean, Jonathan? These documents, they do not exactly convey the ownership of the property to you. My heart sank as I glanced at the papers. I had never paid much attention to the legal jargon before, but now it seemed like everything was written in a foreign language. What? But Jane, my lawyer, assured me that I was the owner. Well, Amy, it looks like you have had a misunderstanding with your lawyer. From what I'm seeing, this property clearly does not belong to you. How is this possible? Jane, she promised. I understand, Amy, but it looks like you'll need to consult a new lawyer to sort this out. I can't proceed with the purchase without clear ownership. Wait, did you say the property belongs to someone else? Yes, it's listed here as the property of a clay carpenter. Clay carpenter, that's my husband. Are you sure it says that? 100%. My mind was racing as I hastily gathered my things and left the cafe, with Jonathan's words echoing in my head. The shock of discovering that the property did not belong to me but to my own husband, Clay Carpenter. How had this happened? I needed answers, and I needed them fast. I dialed Clay and asked him to come home right away. Clay, did you know that you were the owner of the property? I mean, Aunt Maureen's property? Yeah, I did. My mom told me there was some trouble putting it under your name, so she made me sign a couple of things. I thought you were aware of this. Clay, I hate to jump to conclusions, but I think your mom lied to both of us. What do you mean, Amy? Clay, your mom told me she was making me the owner of the house, and she told you a whole different story. What? That can't be right. I had no idea about this. Clay, something isn't adding up here. I trusted your mom, and I can't believe she'd deceive us like this. This is messed up, Amy. I need to talk to my mom about this. Clay and I looked at each other, totally puzzled. Without wasting any more time, we hopped in the car and drove to her place, ready to get to the bottom of this crazy mess. Jane, we need to talk. We found out about the property, and there's something you need to explain, Clay said as soon as we arrived. What are you talking about, dear? Cut the act, Mom. We know you lied to both of us. You told me you were making me the owner of the house, and you told Clay that you were making him the owner and I was okay with it. What is the truth here, Jane? Ah, you caught me there. Well, Amy, I did what I thought was best for my son. He deserves all of it. You see, Amy, I've never quite trusted you. You've always been a stay-at-home wife, never really contributing financially to this family. Painting those silly little art pieces doesn't really help you to run the house, does it? In my eyes, my son deserves all that property more than you do. I cannot put his future in your hands. I just can't trust you to handle it properly. Frankly, you've always been more of a burden than anything else, living off my son's hard work. Mom, that is enough. Amy's my wife, and I will not let you insult her like this. She has supported me in every way she could, and that is more than anything, Clay retorted. I'm a lawyer, Clay. At 55, I'm still taking on challenging projects and hustling in life. Look at Amy, she's nothing but a useless housewife, painting her life away like a 20-year-old. Mom, being a homemaker is as much of a struggle as being a lawyer. I have had enough of your lies, Jane. Just wait and watch. I'm going to sue you. Sue me? With the knowledge and brain you have, I do not think you stand a chance. Little did Jane know that my dad was a judge. Talk about a twist she did not see coming, right? I had grown up in a family where justice and fairness were like our family mottos, so of course, I was ready to fight for what was rightfully mine. Now let's get one thing straight. Being a housewife is no excuse for anyone to steal your inheritance and pull all this shady stuff. Housewives, just like any other role, play a massive part in making a home, and their contributions are absolutely priceless, so it was beyond unjust for Jane to underestimate me based on my chosen role. There I was, hatching a plan with Clay. He was all in and knew his mom's tactics like the back of his hand. We were not going down without a fight. We decided to get our own lawyer, and with legal expertise on our side, we went full steam ahead, filing a lawsuit against Jane. Our case went to court, and let me tell you, that day is etched into my memory forever. It was one of those moments when you feel like your life is on the line and everything hangs in the balance. I had an honest conversation with my dad about the whole situation, and he reassured me that justice would prevail. Having a judge as a father was a real advantage in this ordeal. Jane, on the other hand, looked confident as ever. She probably thought her lawyer skills would save the day, but little did she know that justice does not bend to manipulation. Emmy, you have really outdone yourself this time, suing your own family. I guess you'll learn a lesson or two about the real world, Jane said smugly. Jane, this is not about lessons. It's about justice. Aunt Maureen's properties were meant for me, just me. I would have shared it with Clay and even you, but you did not even give me a chance. I'm a skilled lawyer, Amy. I know how to navigate these waters. You were just a housewife once. After this, you'll realize that you should have never gone against me. Just as she was talking down to me, my dad entered the room. What? What is he doing here? Is he the judge? Jane stammered. Yeah, Jane, that's my dad. He's the judge presiding over this case. You should have told me earlier. This changes everything. I didn't want you to feel intimidated. I didn't sign up for this. I thought I could win this without any issues. The courtroom showdown ended with Jane getting a 2-month timeout in jail for her tricky antics. Those were the most tension-free months we had in a long time. With a new lawyer by my side, I managed to secure ownership of Aunt Maureen's properties. We decided to sell one of the houses to a builder, knowing it was the smart move. It felt like a huge weight lifted off our shoulders, no more legal battles, no more deceit to worry about. Life moved forward and we breathed easier. Just a day ago, Jane walked out of jail, and the first thing she did was march up to me. She had to fork over a cool $20,000 as part of the fine from the lawsuit I won. Amy, I wanted to apologize for everything I did. I shouldn't have called you a boring housewife and all those terrible things. I was wrong, Jane said, looking defeated. Well, Jane, it's about time you realized it, but you see, those words don't come off easily. Amy, you don't understand. I lost my lawyer's license and now I'm jobless. I have no savings left and the fine you imposed on me. Oh, Jane, isn't it ironic? The mastermind lawyer now facing consequences herself. As for that fine, well, you'll just have to find a way to pay it, won't you? Please, Amy, I'm begging you. Can't you let me get away with the fine? I have nothing left. Sorry, Jane, no shortcuts to redemption here. Knocking at my door, Jane found herself with her own set of issues. She's no longer a lawyer, and her son Clay isn't exactly rushing to her side. Consequences have a funny way of coming back to bite you, and it seems like they've caught up with her. She eventually paid us the money, which we honestly didn't need, and now we have completely shut her out of our lives. I hope she learned a major lesson. Respect every hustle out there and treat everyone right. Don't let your ego get too inflated. The higher you soar, the nastier the fall when you come crashing down. Now I'm the proud owner of some prime property and a nice chunk of cash. It's like a world of opportunities just busted open for me. I've got this killer plan to open up a gallery for myself, and the first art show is going to showcase all of Aunt Maureen's incredible art. Her creative genius deserves to be seen by the world, and I'm going to make it happen with that sweet inheritance money. Art lovers, get ready to be wowed.